Good afternoon, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in season 4, episode 43. And today, here we are honored here to have the head baseball coach of Kansas State baseball, Pete Hughes. Pete, how you doing today?
Everything's good. Yep, another beautiful day in Manhattan, Kansas. Still chasing kids here in the portal, coming down to the wire. And um, it's a crazy deal, the portal, but it's part of the formula, and it's going to be part of the scenery for a while. But it'll be our lifeline. You can really inject some talent in your program immediately, and it's become real competitive in the recruiting process.
Yeah, well, let's start there. I mean, it's kind of like here with MLB having the draft during the All-Star break. It's kind of like college coaches are juggling recruiting, who's in the transfer portal, and who might leave and go get drafted or sign a free agent contract. Definitely a busy time right here in the middle of July.
Yeah, and as of the draft there a day ago, your rosters can change with kids signing and leaving your program, and they don't give us much time to replace those guys. If you get surprised and someone signs or someone gets drafted, they get the number, or if they come off the number, but they don't give us much time to replace that player on our roster, and the portal has allowed us to do that. But even like I said, it's really late in the portal game right now. But yeah, basically the portal, and it's free agency for us,
Right.
with no salary cap with this NFL, which is nuts. So someone's going to have to put their grips around this thing and control it a little bit. I just don't know what the solution is, and it is the Wild West right now, and it's set up for the haves to continue to separate from the have-nots, and I feel bad for the high school player too. Honestly, they're getting squeezed out of the recruiting process at the higher levels, and then it might look better for the mid or low Division ones or junior college baseball. But as soon as they get better in the low Division ones and the mid Division ones, the Power Fours are going after them, and third party involvement, and they're telling kids to get in the portal, and it's not good. College baseball is at its highest level of talent, that's for sure, but it's at its lowest level of integrity right now.
Yeah, and let's take a step back here. When you were growing up here, were you playing all sports or mainly football in the fall and then baseball in the spring?
Yeah, in my town, I grew up in Brockton, Massachusetts, and good blue collar town, and whatever season was, we were playing it, and it was known for its football. It's one of the top football teams in the country, and people lived and died with what that high school team did on Saturday afternoons, and but yeah, in the fall we played football, and in the wintertime we played basketball or hockey, and in the springtime we cranked it up and got our baseball going. But I've always in the recruiting process have preferred kids that play more than one sport, and so this age of speciality, it's to me, if two kids are on par, baseball wise, I want to take the kid who plays football in the fall. Usually you get a tougher, more disciplined, competitive kid, and so that's what I did with my kids. Whatever they wanted to play, I let them play. Didn't get locked into just specializing, and I think a lot of people are doing that these days too much, and kids are getting hurt, and especially you see these young pitchers, they never put the ball down during the course of the year, and they're getting Tommy John in high school, which was unheard of about 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah, and then when you went to college, did you try to play two sports there in college, or just focus on one there at Davidson?
No, I signed my letter of intent in football. You didn't do your background, Rags. You would have found out I was the second most accomplished quarterback at throwing interceptions at Davidson College for a career. I think I
Okay.
came three or
Well,
four shy of the record. Yeah.
well, hey, I appreciate your time, but I like to do good stuff, not have an interception record.
No, I just love that game. Like I said, I grew up with it, and I I made my college decision on being able to play both sports. I wasn't very good at football, but I loved it, and I just knew that I couldn't go 4 years without playing it. And if when I went to college, and then I was fortunate enough that Davidson, number one, was a phenomenal academic institution.
Right.
Number two, uh, they gave me a chance to do both sports at the Division I level, and it turned out to be just a great experience and the right experience for me. But yeah, I couldn't see myself not playing football for 4 years. I wasn't ready to give it up.
Right. Yes. And then after college, I mean, getting into the coaching ranks.
Yeah, I was I was such a good college baseball player that my coaching career started the day after my last college baseball game.
Right.
you know, um, I knew I wanted to coach. I knew I just loved to compete, and I wasn't ready to step out of the arena, and I wasn't good enough to continue as a professional career. So the best way to stay in it was to coach, and um, I gave myself 5 years where I was just going to pay my dues, and if I didn't land a full time position, then I would have got into the real world, and I was lucky enough. My first full time job in college athletics was I was the defensive line coach at Northeastern University in Boston. It was
Yeah.
the one AA school. They don't have a program anymore, but yeah, I was on the football coaching track. I worked with some great guys, some NFL head coaches on my staff, Doug Marone, Joe Philbin. I used to recruit with Chip Kelly.
Oh wow.
So we all ran around and we are all paying our dues at the same time in the same league in New England. And then I realized that I wanted to really work hard and compete and do that for a living. And I just couldn't rationalize putting that much time into something and only playing 10 days out of the year. Back then we played 10 games in football. So I was like, well, baseball, I can work hard and be committed to something, and we can play 56.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you get beat, you don't have to wait a whole week, to get feeling good again. That would kill me. And but I also knew with baseball, we were going to have a big family. Football coaches are really transient those days, and they still are. And baseball's gotten that way now. But back then, I just thought I would have more job security. I could be a head coach quicker, and I wanted to be a head coach. Didn't matter what sport. And we wanted to have a big family. I wanted to raise a family on a college campus and coach a sport. And then I went the baseball route and got hired at Trinity University, my first head coaching job in San Antonio, Texas. I was 28 years old, and we went down there. Foreigners in a foreign land, that's for sure. And we flipped that thing pretty quick. And 2 years later, I remember telling my wife she was 9 months pregnant with my son, oldest son, and I'm like, "Hey, I just got offered this job." She goes, "Where is it?" I said, "San Antonio, Texas. It's beautiful. I just went down there." I'm like, "It's you're gonna love it. It's like it's like the Venice of America. They got rivers and
Right.
yeah. Well, I don't know if she put too much stock into that, but it was 113 degrees when she stepped off the plane, 9 months pregnant. And I said, "Don't worry about it. It's going to get better from here, right? We'll turn this thing around and get out of here in a couple of years." Sure enough, we did. Boston College was looking for their first full-time head coach back then, and I was 30. I had went to Boston College High School. We were pretty wired for that job. They wanted a young guy who had a good attitude, who could deal with all the obstacles that job presented. They were going from 8 scholarships to 3. They didn't have a baseball field in the fall. It was a football practice field. And
Right.
there were just plenty of things negatively to talk about with that job. And they just needed someone that didn't care about anything and was going to make it happen. And that's how I presented myself on my interview. And I got the job, and it was a great 8 years of our lives. We learned our profession. We we had 4 more children while at Boston College, and yeah, and then the only downside to that Boston College job, other than that I was making $34,000 a year with 5 kids, was we had to live 50 minutes away,
Yeah.
to afford some space, and um, so I was commuting all the time. My kids were never on that campus with me.
Mm.
Logistically, it was just impossible, and to me, that the greatest value that you get out of college coaching is raising your children. For me, in a dugout, around role model student athletes, in a college community where there's always something to do, a football game, a volleyball game, a wrestling match. They're at my practice every day. So that's how we brought our kids up, and that's why we went to Virginia Tech, to be
Right.
honest. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that I started this podcast four years ago, and definitely have some Hokie listeners. And coming to Virginia Tech, I mean, the guy that you replaced had been there 28 years, and it had been a while since Hokie baseball had gone to the NCAA's.
well, we took over for Chuck Hartman, who's an absolute legend in college baseball ranks.
Right.
Um, but the program transitioned into the ACC, and it was a difficult transition for them. We had just swept them when I was at Boston College the year I left, and Virginia Tech was 3-24 in the ACC the year before we took the job. And from the outsider looking in, why would he leave Boston College for Virginia Tech? In baseball, anything moving south of the Mason-Dixon line is a good move too.
Right.
And
Right.
I was tired of preparing my team indoors 75-80% of my time, and but really, I wanted to live in a college community so we could raise our family the right way. You only got one shot at doing that. And
Right.
baseball, we've always got the baseball right. We've always gotten it right, and you got one crack at raising your kids the right way. And Blacksburg is the idyllic community to do that. And if we didn't win any games in Blacksburg, the greatest thing we got from that community was raising our children there, and the people, just high moral fabric, just a great college community. I mean, I get to walk the hallways with Frank Beamer,
Right.
Coach Beamer for 7 years, and just watch how he embraces a community, and watch how he handles everything, and what an asset that was, for me, and I took advantage of it, believe me. But we got the baseball right, it's but no surprise. You get people on that campus and you recruit hard, and you're going to get some good players. And but that was really 7 years of our life. That was just we look back fondly, that's for sure. And I don't know if my wife she'll never forgive me for moving our family out of that community. I'm still hearing it to this day.
Well, let's before we move on and your Big 12 experience. I mean, there at Virginia Tech, the school there early on when you're there, suffers a tragedy, and you talk about being from New England, and tell the listeners about the MLB team that paid a visit there to Blacksburg.
Yeah, that was surreal, that's for sure. I got this is the lineup card from that day.
Nice. Yeah.
Get Johnny Damon, Derek
Right.
Jeter, Abreu, A-Rod, Giambi, Posada, Cano.
Right. Yeah.
Those dudes came trotting into English Field
Right.
on March 18th, 2008.
Right.
And as a Red Sox guy,
Right.
I've never went to the old Yankee Stadium, and I had plenty of opportunities, but I refused to do it because I hated the Yankees that much.
Right.
So that was my mindset. And then these guys take a day out of their spring training, and they're multimillionaires and they're Hall of Famers, because they felt it was important to get on a plane, break their routine, leave the warmth of Florida, and come to Blacksburg, Virginia, to help a community heal.
Right.
And from from that day on, man, I'll tell you, I think about the Yankees differently, and what Mr. Steinbrenner did, it helped us. I mean, there's 6,000 people in an English field, and it was just, people were smiling again, and that hadn't happened in a while, and just amazing what they did, and it wasn't like they were in a rush to get out of there too. They understood how important that was, and yeah, that was surreal. We still have pictures of that day, and our kids in Yankee pinstripes, and my children were the Yankee bat boys, sitting next to A-Rod and Jeter.
Right.
But just it made us not forget, but it made us smile and enjoy a day in Blacksburg when we needed it most. So yeah, I think differently when I think about the New York Yankees now.
Yeah, and then also, Hokie baseball, you guys went to two NCAAs, and before we started, I talked about, seeing your team play there at Durham during the ACC tournament, but also talk about there with hosted NCAA that you got to do before you moved on.
Yeah, that was pretty special. That was the first time that Virginia Tech had ever hosted, and just to be the head coach and to be part of that. I think our administration did a phenomenal job because our facility really wasn't conducive to hosting at that time, and really in less than a week they created an unbelievable atmosphere, and they brought in extra seating and tents, and they actually brought in a portable press box that I've never seen before. And there were just a bunch of tractors and cranes around there for 4 days, like an erector said, building a stadium to host a regional. And I just remember saying, when you see the amount of this amount of equipment at your baseball field, progress has been made. And I like to think we did a lot of good things there to turn that program in the right direction. But that was the culmination, really, when you hosted a regional, you're a one seed. And the one thing I do regret was I didn't prepare my team for it. I didn't want to talk about it because I just wanted to be like, hey, it's another baseball game. This is what we do. It's 9 innings. I know we're hosting, and it's Friday night, and I didn't even say let's just go out and play baseball. I should have told them, hey, look, we're going to look up and we're going to see 5,000 people, and we're not used to that.
Right.
There's going to be people everywhere, and it's going to be loud, and it's going to be Enter Sandman, and at a baseball game, it's going to feel like a football game. And I should have prepped them, because for the first 2 innings, our guys were just looking around like, this is unbelievable. It's like they were stargazing, and sure enough, UConn jumps us, the 4 seed. I think they put a 3 spot up on us early because our guys, they couldn't control their adrenaline, and Joe Manaply, who is our number one, he had too much adrenaline going, and had trouble making adjustments in the zone, which he didn't do all year. And I'm going to have dinner with Joe actually tomorrow night in Chicago, which is
cool.
And we'll talk about that. But lessons learned, right? You got to prep your team for different atmospheres so they can control their adrenaline. And they were just so excited about it, and they wanted to play that much better for that crowd and in that atmosphere. And sometimes it doesn't always work that way, But the regionals that I have, I talked to our team about it in Charlottesville. I'm like, it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's and these guys play in some tough places. Texas Tech isn't easy to play at. TCU sometimes. West Virginia is a difficult place to play in. So, yeah, I prep my teams differently now because of that experience. But that was a really fun weekend. I wish we had played better for our hometown community and won that regional. But it was a heck of an experience.
Yeah, well, moving on here to you were at Oklahoma, then an assistant at Georgia, and then leading Kansas State, and just what you've been doing, and you mentioned it quickly, talking about playing at West Virginia and playing at different hostile environments. I see that the Big 12 tournament was right there at Arlington in the Ranger Stadium.
Yeah, we've been playing at Globe Life now for 3 years for the conference tournament, and you know it's a big venue, um, and we can get a good crowd in there, and it still feels a little bit,
Right.
a little. I don't want to say empty, but
Right.
we're not getting 50,000 people in there. So if you get 10,000, you still got to battle that atmosphere thing. But the trade off is, they close that roof and you don't have those rain delays and the storms that you're getting at the end of May all over the country. And, games are getting backed up and you're playing till midnight. And then you could have come back and play the 9 o'clock game. That doesn't happen. So I love the fact that we're at Globe Life because of the schedule so consistent. And they're so good to us there. It's like they're really privileged to have that tournament there, which we don't feel like we're a nuisance at all. And they do a great job with that tournament, and the location's good. It's a home field it's a home game for TCU, but you're going to get that no matter where you go. I mean, I didn't complain about it when we were at Oklahoma City, and I was at Oklahoma, but I just love the consistency and that the roof brings, and with the rain delays and the lightning delays, that doesn't factor into the tournament.
Yeah. Well, and then tell the listeners, what it was like here their selection show Monday and hearing your name, get called an at large and you're in the NCAA's.
It was exciting because I thought last year, we got snubbed,
Right.
and I'm on record being very vocal with that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not insulting anybody, but we had a better team last year than we had this year. We just don't have that sexy brand name across our chest. It's where, there's no such thing as a bubble. That team's going to the tournament, and we prove what we can do when we get into a tournament, right?
Right.
It's taken people a little while, but to accept the fact that Kansas State's a pretty good baseball program now, and that's us. We knew that when we took the job, that we have to build a brand and we have to change who we are, and there's only one way to do that is keep winning and keep earning respect from people. I think we took a huge step in that direction this year, and just how we perform nationally. You get sent as a 3 seed to a really difficult place to play. It's the toughest venue I've ever been in.
Right.
I will tell you that. And I've never coached there or played there. And that was unbelievable, and that happens on a daily occurrence at Arkansas. And there's a reason why they lost 4 home games total this year, before we went in there. And I just told our guys it's time to get hot. It's time. All the hard work is done. All your preparation is done. You've done a great job with that. It's now it's just time to have fun and let yourself go and soak it all in. And I hope for a couple guys to get hot, and they did. And we played great. And as a head coach, that's all you want to do is see your kids play great, play free, and play loose in high pressure situations. Because that means you've done your job, and you've prepared them the right way. And that's what it was for me for 3 days in Fayetteville. I just watched a bunch of guys have the time of their life, and playing at a high level in a high pressure situation. And to me, that's what it's all about. So that was fun.
Yeah. So the opening weekend, 19-4, Louisiana Tech, and then that shapes up with playing the host team. Prime time Saturday night, ESPNU, and you guys win a tight one, 7-6, and go to the regional final and take care of Southeast Missouri State. And with how the format is nowadays, they rank number 1 through number 16. So so everyone knew that the Fayetteville regional and the Charlottesville regional were matched up there in the supers. What was it like of, coming back here to Virginia and facing Coach O'Connor's team?
Well, Coach O'Connor and I have coached a lot of games against each other.
Right.
Going back to Boston College when he was the pitching coach at Notre Dame, um, and I was happy to go back. I love that part of the country, and I was happy with the draw. I enjoy competing against people who have high integrity, and Coach O'Connor and his staff are the gold standards in college baseball when it comes to winning at a high level and doing it with integrity. So I knew that would be a fun weekend to compete. Now, a part of me, and we said, and Oak and I said this, I wish we kind of were playing somebody else so we could both go to Omaha together.
Right.
But it was fun to see him and his staff, and I thought his team played really well. They were really good offensively, 1 through 9. There's no breathing room in that lineup, and they got big hits. And we gave him some opportunities where, if we had turned a double play here, turn double play there, you give them an extra out. You can't give a lineup like that extra outs, and eventually they're going to get the big hit. And that's really was the story of the 2 losses for us, but yeah, it was just great. We had so many people from Virginia Tech make their way to Charlottesville that weekend, and a lot of old friends, and it was a special weekend. And we're close, we're 1 series win away from Omaha, and that's how close we are. And I thought our community traveled great. Our families, it was a good experience for them. We certainly were not satisfied, but we're close. I thought we played well in both those games, and we had our chances, and hopefully we'll do it next time.
Yeah. So what? So with the old saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Advancing out of the Fayetteville regional, getting to a super. What is the? I guess here we are near the end of July, so probably recruits are probably or incoming freshmen or transfers are probably summer school, fall semester right around the corner. So the fall program, the off-season workouts is getting ready to start here right around the corner.
Yeah, we have our freshman pitchers are on campus right now. Our incoming freshman pitchers going through our throwing program, our weightlifting program, and chipping away at some credits. It's a good way to get those kids assimilated to college life, and so we're dealing with those guys right now. We've had a ton of visits on our campus with portal kids, so that's kept us busy all summer. As soon as we got bumped out, it's just you hit the portal, you go and you get in front of kids, you're talking to them in the summer leagues. Recruiting has changed, that's for sure. We're not scouring, the AAU and the travel teams as much as we did in the past, when instead we're going to college summer leagues and meeting with kids and families, then getting them on our campus. So that's what we're doing. Our kids will come back. The first day of class is, I think, August 19th, and I'll definitely let these kids decompress. Our kids are going out. Most of them are out playing summer ball. So they just played 60 games with me, and then they go play 45, 50 games. And so I let them get away from it a little bit, and let them breathe and just be a regular college student for, a couple weeks. And then we'll get into our fall program, and we'll lift immediately. But as far as heavy baseball stuff, I let these kids breathe a little bit, and or else they'll start hating the game, and they need to decompress. One thing I did do, as I get older, I think I get smarter. My wife would disagree with that, but I give our kids, I think I'm the only guy in college baseball, maybe, that I give our guys the weekends off in the fall.
Nice.
It's just, I want them to enjoy college.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy that's practicing at 8:00 in the morning and we get a 12 o'clock football game, on campus, and or practice after a football game. To me, that's what our community is all about. It's not just a football game. It's about everyone coming together and rooting for the Wildcats. And I want our kids to be a part of that and enjoy that. So now they also know it's a privilege. And if if they take advantage of that privilege, it'll be taken away from them. That's for sure. But we have really good kids, and I do think it's important that they enjoy whatever, everything K-State has to offer in the fall. And we get after it pretty good though, Monday through Friday, and they give me more effort because they know they're getting the weekends off. I think it's really worked out great. I've done that for the past 6 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and what I told your office is that Coach Tang came on last year, and Kansas State men's basketball, going to a regional final there at Madison Square Garden a couple years ago. So it's and I know with Bill Snyder on what he built, Kansas State football a few years back. So I know that definitely it's good to support the other athletics there on campus.
It is, and it's we have the best athletic director in the country, Gene Taylor, and was voted that, and rightfully so. 2 years ago we won the Big 12 championship in football.
Right.
Then Coach Tang got us to the Elite Eight. Women's basketball hosted a regional this year. I mean, it's across the board. It comes from the top, and this guy is just a phenomenal leader, and he just cares about his coaches as people first, and then he resources our programs. But our communities, it's very similar to Blacksburg, and we have the same feeling, the same vibe as that Blacksburg gave us, but very few places are wired like those two places. It's where the community is the college, and the college is the community, and that's what this place is all about. And it's an easy place to work for. It's a community you want to win for, much like Blacksburg was. But the support is amazing. Their loyal fanfare. They're going to show up whether it's 30 degrees, rain.
Right.
The football games. It doesn't matter if we're down 2 touchdowns. If we're down 10 runs, those people, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
It's amazing and very rare these days, right? And they're in it for the long haul, and that makes you really want to work and compete like crazy for people like that if they support you like that.
Yeah. And Pete, I mean, appreciate your time for coming on, and once I started this, and, with, knowing the Abbeys, the Henrys, the Masons, there when, Thomas played baseball with their boys, it's such a small world here around the baseball community, so appreciate your time for coming on my podcast and sharing your experience and your story.
Yep, I enjoyed it. Thanks, Mark. Make sure you say hello to all those guys. Great people.
Will do. And have a good rest of the summer, and go K-State baseball.
All right. Thanks, Rags.
All right. See you. Okay.